doing some live dating profile audits. So this isn't about making you feel bad about it. It's really just looking at it sort of objectively from a different perspective and making it to the next level. So I have a couple people's profiles already. So I'm going to start with those ones and then I'm going to go with whoever's just sent them to me. So I'm going to start with Ankit. I'm just looking at your photos. Some whispering. Hang on. Cool. So Ankit, looking at your profile right now. Your photos are honestly really nice. They're really good quality. I like that you're clearly adventurous. There's photos of you doing rafting in front of the bridge in nature by a waterfall. These photos are all really good quality. Be nice to have another full body shot, but aside from that, it's pretty good. So what I did notice is that your profile is interested to hear your perspective and thoughts on what exactly. But there's not a whole lot on your profile. You're not giving us a lot of information about you. Your photos tell us a lot, but apart from that, there's nothing really on your profile that is interesting. Anything written down that's interesting. And the photos are going to be the most important thing, but what you write in your bio matters quite a bit. Not only just because it gives people a better sense of who you are, but also if you have a more full bio and profile and all those prompts are filled out, you're going to give other people more to talk about. A lot of times it's really difficult to initiate or continue a conversation, and what happens is that you start to have a back and forth, and it just becomes this really generic, boring thing where you're just like, how's your week going? Good. How's yours? What did you do this weekend? And that's where a lot of conversations tend to go to die. And a big reason why that is because that you're not giving people anything to work with. You're not writing anything in your profile that's interesting or can really spark a conversation. And so you're limiting yourself in terms of people just think you're boring. So please include more about what you're into, the type of person you are, whatever your quirks or your social skills, or just infuse your personality into your bio. I also have some grammatical errors here. Send me if you have pretty smile, long hairs, and high energy personality. So run your bio through a spell check or ChatGPT or whatever, because it just looks like you didn't really care that much to double check. So this one I actually like. He wrote in one of the prompts, I'll never forget the time I had my seatbelt failed midway on the pendulum ride at Six Flags. It's kind of interesting. It doesn't really give you any kind of indication, but it is a conversation starter. Make it a little bit more creative. Do some brainstorming, talk to your friends. That can be a really good way to get your profile going. Asking your friends to say something about you. I actually saw this person posting on their Instagram page what they had on their dating profile, and I thought it was really cool. So they actually had, the title of this Instagram post was Pros and Cons of Dating Me, but my sister wrote it. And I just thought it was just really cute, creative, and then even the cons are just endearing for the most part. It says, thinks he can dance, in parentheses, can't really. Processing his last relationship like a graduate thesis. Says, I'm on the way, but is likely still half naked. This is just an idea for you to work with for your profile on how to message a woman after matching. Absolutely. Ideally, what you want to do is comment on something in her profile, whether it be in her photos or her bio. Ideally not something about how she looks, unless it's not anything that is overly racy. So comment on something in her bio. That just proves that you've actually read it and you've looked through her profile, which set you apart from a lot of people. For example, if she's into skiing and she's skiing in one of her photos, you could say, oh my gosh, that ski hill looks amazing. Tell me about your last ski trip, something like that. And then she'll answer, and then you ask a follow-up question based on that answer, and then you can relate it back to you in some way. Ideally, if you're into skiing, maybe she says to your first question, it was my whole family, we went up to this mountain and stayed there for a week and yada, and then you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Are you really good at skiing, or are you just kind of starting, you know what I mean? A follow-up question. And then she'll say, I'm kind of new to skiing, but I really love it. And then at that point, you could be like, I have never skied before, but I've always wanted to. Right? That's when you can go back and make it about you. Just make sure you ask at least one follow-up question before you switch that around, because it'll really show that you're actually interested. It's not about pretending to be interested. It's about knowing exactly how to show people that. We assume you're interested, and we just want to put your best foot forward. That is overall how I would do that first opening message. If you can make it funny, cool. If you can say something that's a little bit like something that's going to take her out of autopilot, not in a creepy or aggressive or weird way. Anything that you can say that'll stick out is going to make you more memorable and more likely that she's going to reply as well. So we're going to talk about Matt now. I'm looking at your photos. It seems to me that you're on 2 different apps here, and both of those apps have different photos. So the photo that I think is the best is the one with you and your dog. You just look really happy, and women love dogs. If you have a photo of you guys, if you have a photo of you and a puppy, a dog, whatever it is, if you can get your hands on some puppies, this is going to serve you very well on your dating profile. It's instant. As soon as you see a puppy, you're just like, yes. It gives you all those good feelings. So think about that when you're building your profiles. Think about all of the things you have in your photos, and know that that person is going to relate whatever those things are directly to you, whether consciously or subconsciously. Same thing goes with what you put in your bio. So for example, I'll show you this one. That was this guy. So the prompt says, you'll know I like you if I vomit every time I see you. So it's meant to be cute, but it actually comes off as gross, and now you're associating vomit with this dude. In terms of your photos, I would delete the one of you with long hair, because it just makes it confusing. And basically what you want to do with your profile is build trust, right? And having photos of you looking different, it looks like you're posting photos from like very different times of your life. So now we don't actually know what you actually look like, and that automatically reduces trust, because there's a lot of people out there who are putting photos that are like 10 years old on their profile, and you don't want to do that, because you have to build that bottom layer of trust when you are building your profile, when you're having these exchanges. This is the most important part. If there is no trust, there will be no meeting, because think about it from a woman's perspective. She's going out with a random guy from the internet. That's scary on its own. So to ask a woman to go out with a random guy from the internet, you have to do everything you can to make her feel safe, and it starts in your profile. If she sees your photos or something in your bio that makes her think, oh, I don't know about that, that's going to damage that trust. And then I actually quite like this kind of crazy one you have here with your American flag in the background and you on a boat. I actually kind of like that one. It's pretty silly. You're making a funny face, and it's clearly meant to be a bit of a joke. I think infusing a little bit of humor into your profile is a good thing. A lot of people take this too seriously, and a lot of people are just plain boring. So having a little bit of humor on there is really going to set you apart from others. If you have anything outside of the type of content that does those things, it's just noise. And think about it from your perspective when you're swiping through people. It's exhausting mentally, right? And you don't want to add to that decision fatigue, right? So really keeping it short and sweet and succinct and just your best photos is going to bring that profile up to the next level. So your bio reads a lot like a resume. It's not very warm, and it's fairly generic. And I know you well enough to know that you're not generic. So I know you can do better. Is it okay if I read it? Okay, so it says, yes, my simple pleasures. My boys, my pup, strength and mobility training, cooking together, and unique restaurants, lake days, football. So that's literally just a list of things.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
The ones above it are supposed to be the more interesting stuff, right?
I'm going to show you real quick here. I've taken some time, y'all, to really gather some evidence that only the Zoom chat people will be able to see. These are just profiles that are super boring. You guys, I say about 90% of people or more have some variation of I like good times, good food, good people, good vibes, good fun. You know what I mean? We all like that. Cool. Yeah. I'm an open book, usually easygoing and always down to try something new. My simple pleasures, a chill day of going out and driving back home tired. Let's make sure we're on the same page about flash brew is better than cold brew, whatever that means. That's like a pineapple on pizza kind of thing. Not really good at talking about myself. I want someone who I can bond with and do great things. The key to my heart is good food and deep conversations. These are all different people's profiles. Typical Sunday, lazy AF, coffee, sofa, and Netflix. My simple pleasures, ride, eat good food, sport, and outdoor activities. As a side note, don't put lazy in your profile. No one likes that. So we want to go outside of those boxes. Ask your friends, ask people who know you, brainstorm these kinds of things. I promise you, if you really think about it, if you let it sit in the back of your mind for like a couple days, you will think of better things than I like good people, good food. You can make it funny. So having a little joke in there, and I'm going to pull up something funny to show you what I mean by that. You can make it about you and the good things that you have going for you, but don't make it all about you, right? This isn't just, hey, look at me. This is what our life can look like together. From the other person's perspective, they're thinking about who is going to be a good person for me. I'm going to show you guys some examples of what I mean when I'm saying ways to make it feel like it's about them. This is an example of creating this we context. So this guy's profile, just overall fantastic. And he deals with something that I think a lot of people are really insecure about. He's bald. So on his profile, and one of the prompts under a random fact I love is the bald gene comes from my mom's side. If it happens, I'll teach our kids to shine, literally and figuratively. It's hitting three things. It's positive. It's funny. He's sort of doing this self-deprecating humor thing, but in a way that isn't uncomfortable. And it's also inviting that we thing when he says, I'll teach our kids to shine, right? Now I'm picturing my life with this man, right? So I thought this was really brilliant. That's a great example of how to include the other person into your profile and really make them feel good just by looking at your profile, even though it's not really about them. People will insert themselves. So this was actually a woman's profile, but I thought I would include it anyway because I think that it does something that's very good and also that not very few men do. So this says, I go crazy for people who get excited in conversations where they share about, for example, a cool mushroom they saw on a stroll that they learned everything about, who happily listen when I describe my attempts to befriend the neighborhood raven, basically saying without saying that this person has excellent listening skills, which is something that a lot of women really look for, is a man who really is genuinely interested in who they are, who's asking good questions and who's really listening to their answers and really cares about what they have to say. Those are just a couple examples of ways to make people feel special just through your profile and how to actually integrate the we into the conversation before even speaking. Back to Matt's profile for a minute and then we'll move on to the next. So, proud father, my boys are grown, so I enjoy getting out and experiencing new people and places. That can be at dinner, the gym, outdoors, or hosting at home. I enjoy building and fixing things. I can fix most things and love problem solving. It would be nice to find something special, but I understand it takes time and actually enjoy building a foundational friendships. The things that I like about this, I love that you have proud father in there. Would not put that as the first thing that people read because, so for example, there's this study that I really love that I mention in What Women Want. They did a study on this, on how first impressions work. And basically they had just a list of words to describe a person. And it was a bunch of characteristics. And some of them were positive, some were negative. So it would be like entrepreneurial, nice, intelligent, cold, calculating, and patient. What they found was that if they took those characteristics and they put the negative ones first, just in the list, they're reading the same exact words, but if they put those characteristics first, that people would rate them as being more negative type of person, versus if they had the characteristics, the positive ones first, that person would be perceived as being a more positive person. So in terms of your dating profile, I know that it's different based on the apps, but whatever you have is the very first few words. You want that to be your strongest part of your bio, because that's what people see first. That is the first impression they are going to get of you, and the filter that they are going to see you from for the rest of the time that they are looking at your profile. So when you have proud father as your first thing in there, it's great, it's positive, but who are you, Matt? I want to know who you are. It's cool that you're a father, but I'm not here to hang out with your kids. I'm here to know who you are. I can fix most things. I like that aspect. I don't necessarily love how you framed it, because it's not really doing much. And then the other aspect that I like is taking the time to build foundational friendships. The concept of wanting to take your time. I like that. I just think it could be framed differently. I would just say really put something specific to you. Try to include I'm trying to think of something with fixing things. I'm the guy that you could call at 2 a.m. to change a tire or something like that. Because women do love a man who can fix stuff, but you're making it, instead of making it, so I'm going to go for the next person. I'm pretty sure someone sent me, I'm looking at Jacques. I don't see any bio whatsoever, except for this one sentence here at the beginning that says, out to find decent people who love good music, intelligent conversation, and know what they want out of life. It's not really saying anything about you. I don't know anyone in the world who doesn't like decent people, good music, intelligent conversation. Those are all things that I think everyone wants. So really make it about you. You're clearly really into music. I would roll with that. You can have music be sort of a theme that is weaved throughout your profile. I'm trying to think on the spot about ways for you to do that and make it cute. I don't know, maybe something like, I'll let you sit on my shoulders at the concert or something like that. I think that's cute. And then you're doing that thing that I mentioned before where you're actually integrating the other person into the picture. What makes you special, Jacques? What makes you the type of person that someone would want to be with? What are your assets? What makes you unique and fun and interesting? And what makes you able to have intelligent conversations? Even just getting in specifically to what is an intelligent conversation to you? What's your special interest? What are the things that you like to talk about? Things like that. It could say something like, we could pretend like we're on Judge Judy and get into a spirited debate over dinner or something like that. I actually think that's really cute. You guys can use that one if you want. Depends on what you like to talk about. So you just gotta really customize. Because even people who are weird are more interesting than people who are normal and boring. You want to stand out, that's the goal. Something that I like to suggest as well is in your profile to have a conversation starter. People love to give their opinions on stuff. They love to feel like what they have to say is interesting and that it matters. I've seen a few people do it where it says, choose our first date. I believe this is a Hinge profile. Choose our first date. And then it basically lets you select from one of 3 options. And that's when you can really get creative. And this is, again, another opportunity for you to really make it about them, or at least your experience together. So this person has, choose our first date, scooter tour around downtown, sampling street food and sightseeing as being 1. Sushi dinner and a stroll along the beach as 2. Meet at the gym for a lift session and grab a post-workout smoothie as 3. These aren't very interesting. This is really where you can get creative and also insert your own interests to attract the type of person that is into the same stuff as you are. This is actually the same guy's profile who made that comment about his head being bald. My greatest strength is that I floss my teeth every night regardless of how sleepy I am. It's cute, it's funny, and in a way genuinely impressive. This message, what it says multiple layers below the surface, is that I am and I am reliable. Saying sort of inadvertently that I take care of myself and you will be taken care of because I have this self-discipline. So anything that signals safety, even in a small way, is going to be excellent. And if you can put a nice, funny spin on it, that is even better. I plan on doing this, or some version of this, either every week or every other week. So you're welcome to come back and give me updates on that. And if you want to go deeper into it and actually have me fully help you rebuild your profile, we can also set up a call just one-on-one. And you can find info on my profile for that. Just opening someone named Waymond, is it? Alright, let's see. Hard to see your photos like this. So, photos are pretty good. I like that it shows you smiling in a couple of them. So it shows you doing a bunch of different stuff. I really like the one of you walking on the beach with the ocean in the background. That's really nice. All these things are going to give people subtle positive emotions. You think about the beach, we associate you with vacation. You want people to look at your photos and think, oh, that seems nice, right? And then let me look at your actual profile. I don't see anything about you. It just says all of your prompts have stuff to do with and pop culture and nothing about you. One thing about meeting Stan Lee, one thing about nerding about Marvel, etc. Then the other one's about anime. It's literally all about essentially the same group of things, which is cool. I would just make that sort of a sidebar because I highly doubt the most interesting thing about you is the types of things that you like to watch. Relaxation is working out, going to conventions. ASMR is my way to unwind. So I think ASMR is something that's interesting. That's not something that you really hear about all the time. So you could roll with that, honestly. Write something about together. There's that one prompt, I think it's like together we could build like a pillow fort and hold hands while we listen to ASMR. I don't know, something like that. Just paint a picture for these people. It doesn't have to be that specifically if that doesn't work for you. So dating me is ordering 10 chicken nuggets and getting 12. In theory, it's cute and that's awesome. Who doesn't love that? But you don't really want to associate yourself with McDonald's. So that being said, just think about what you're saying, every single word you're saying, and the associations that come with that. Our brain does this thing when we encounter anything new or anything that we know, is it has all of these little branches that it diverts off into of all the other things that it relates to that thing. And if you're not careful, you could be something that relates to something that is not necessarily a positive thing. For example, the guy who wrote on his profile, I'll like you if every time I see you, I throw up. Now your brain will think about him consciously or subconsciously when it thinks of vomit. It is insane how much the subconscious really takes in. You can see an image for a fraction of a second so fast that your conscious mind cannot even process it. You're not even aware that you saw it, but your subconscious still knows that it happens. This has been tested. So really think about everything that you put on there as being in some way related to you. If there's no other questions or people who want me to look at their profiles, I'm going to sign off for the day. But thank you to everyone who sent me their profiles. I appreciate it. You guys are helping a lot of other people as well, just by being brave enough to put yourself out there, and so respect. All right. You guys have a good rest of your day, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye.